with the most recent patch, Paladins Midnight Masquerade, actually dropping a couple days ago, at least when I'm recording this video. Depending on when you're seeing it, it could be a little bit different. Ranked got a bunch of major changes, from Ranked going to be console and PC exclusive to being crossplay, with console and PC players being combined into the same ranked queues and games. So a lot has actually changed with Ranked. We got a few other new changes as well. The newest tank champion, Nyx, is also in Ranked now. And the newest map is also in Ranked, Dawnforge. So apart from that, not really much else has really changed with Ranked. With Ranked, everybody got a hard ELO reset, so everybody's trying to rank up and that type of thing right now. So apart from that, this might actually be like the last tier list I do for the game. As you guys do know, I am a Nintendo Switch player, and Paladins is going to be getting discontinued on the Switch probably about, at least from when you're seeing this video, probably a little bit less than a month from now, whenever the next patch goes live. It's rumored to be in mid-June, but we don't know 100% for sure if that's the exact time it's going to be ending. So I don't know if I'll be doing another tier list, if I'm going to be playing on PC, or what I'll be doing yet. So this may actually be like the last Paladins tier list I ever do. So I do want to be in depth. I do want to talk about everything. This may be a really long video. If somebody wants to throw timestamps down in the comments, I'll pin your comment if anybody is going to be going through and watching the entire video anyways. So that being said, if you guys like these types of videos, if this video does well, hopefully it does, I may keep on doing these in the future, even on if the game does get discontinued on the Switch, and I may just do them on PC or whatever if I decide to continue to play the game. So if the video does well, leave a like, subscribe if you're new, and share the video. I also do a bunch of other content over here: Apex Legends, Overwatch 2, Splatoon 3, Pokemon Scarlet and Violet's stuff. We got a bunch of other stuff on the way, Omega Strikers, and if any of that interests you, be sure to subscribe if you're new, because I got a bunch of other stuff on the way. But apart from that, I'm going to throw the list on screen for you guys right now. Here's going to be the list. F tier is your throw picks. S tier is the stuff that you're going to be, like, the stuff that needs to be nerfed. And then just really, like, top tier, stuff that kind of just needs to be nerfed. And S tier is pretty much the stuff that's just, like, ban worthy every game, or like you're going to be picking every single game if you want the highest chance to win. So keep in mind as well, Ranked is now crossplay, so it's not going to be an in-depth console tier list anymore. This is going to be an in-depth crossplay Paladins Ranked tier list. Like I said, I'm a Switch player. I've had over 6,000 plus hours into the game up until this point. So if you guys missed my previous tier list, you guys can check it out. I'll leave a link to that at the end of the video. But without further ado, let's get right into this. The first thing I'm going to talk about is Kasumi, because Kasumi is the only champion I think that has been put into the game and has had the longest time to where they were been put into the game and still not available in Ranked. Kasumi was added to the game October 29th, 2022, and we are almost in June of 2023, almost 6+ months from that, and she is still not available in Ranked. So I don't know where I would even put her, but I think Kasumi is... I want to make an entire video like talking about Kasumi, because I think she's like one of the worst champions I think they've ever created. The reason why that they say that she's not added to Ranked is because she's not in a good spot balance-wise. But at this point, like, they've been waiting so long and trying to do a bunch of random stuff balance-wise with her, to the point where I just don't think they actually even think that Kasumi is a good champion. I think they don't want to say it, but they think Kasumi is a failure of a champion on their end, which I think she actually is. She's probably the worst design champion of all time. Not really like design-wise of like the champion, but at least like kit-wise and what she actually does. Like, it's just so difficult to actually balance her, and they've put their backs into a corner to the point where I think it's either impossible to balance her for like your average players or like your high-tier players. She's either going to be ridiculously good and brain dead, or she's just going to be unplayable. And right now, she's in the current state to where she's pretty much almost unplayable. They reworked Empowered Curse or whatever, one of her talents. It used to give you attack speed on your yokai doll where you were doing damage to people. Now they actually changed that with, instead of attack speed, they changed it to 5% movement speed and 3% increased ult charge. She has one of the worst ults in the game, so that pretty much just makes her garbage. The movement speed is decent, but you still get dove way too easily. They changed her reticle to where if every time you try to switch a target, especially if you're like targeting multiple people and if they're like in a group, it is so difficult to do damage because there's so much of a delay. You have to click the button every single time you try to actually go onto a new target. Now you just can't hold the button down and like swap between targets if you're looking at somebody. Makes her pretty much useless and makes her get killed so easily because there's so much of a delay, and the amount of damage she does in that short time just gets out damaged by pretty much anybody in that time frame. Not to mention she has no mobility. The one thing that she actually has to try to get away from people with it, I think, is her wisp or whatever. I don't know what you call it, but like she throws out a clone pretty much and then she runs away, kind of like Zayn does with his billow. It makes no sense. You can still take damage during that ability even though you're pretty much should be untargetable as a ghost. Pretty much defies logic and defies the entire champion, which is really fucking stupid. And then even then it's still really unreliable because you don't go nearly far enough, you don't go nearly fast enough without loadout cards, and you still take damage during it, so you still even have a possibility of getting killed. She has 3 talents that all don't do anything, and they're some of the worst talents in the entire game. Like, I don't know where to even put her. I think if she wasn't ranked, she might actually be one of the worst champions of all time. And I actually think, I don't even know if I would ever say this, but I think she's actually somehow even worse than Moji. I really do. I think she is somehow right now, currently in the game, especially with ranked crossplay, if she wasn't ranked, she would be worse than Moji is. She is that fucking useless. The worst champion they have ever created in the last 3 years of the game. She is an absolute failure, and the only reason Kasumi was ever put into this game is just for like a theme of a round of a Halloween. The only reason she was put into the game is because of Spooky Month, and that's why. With nothing else, no other thought process behind it apart from just adding a new champion because it was Halloween. If you don't like what I said, tough shit because it is all true. And I'm sure the devs agree because they don't know how to balance her, and she is still not ranked at all. The devs aren't going to say that though. I'll say that, I'll say it for them, but they aren't going to blatantly say that to anybody because they wasted a bunch of time and a bunch of resources on making a failure, so they don't want to be looked at as clowns. That being said, we got the newest champion, the newest tank champion actually being added to rank, which is Nyx. I think Nyx is one of the most like average tank champions right now in ranked. I think the main reason is like her damage numbers are kind of low, and most things that actually want to go after her either have mobility so they can just run away because she just moves so slow, or like they just don't take nearly enough damage and they can kind of just melt her. She's a tank. She has a shield, but the shield is on a really long cooldown. So most of the times you actually want to throw it up in front of you to block damage. It's either on cooldown or it gets melted really easily. It doesn't have the highest of health bars. And then she also has like a personal shield, which isn't the most reliable, especially if you're just getting melted by everybody. So she can play an off tank pretty well. You can play her as a point tank on certain maps like Bright Marsh, and there's a few other maps that she can play a point tank on, but I wouldn't say she really fits into either role, like definitively, like she plays each one like as an off tank or like a point tank, like whichever one she plays the best. She can play both, but she doesn't play one like better than the other, I guess. That's what I'm trying to say. I think she's just extremely average. If you want like a really fun tank to play, like she is fun to play, but like she's nothing crazy right now, and I wouldn't pick Nyx over like the majority of the other off tanks in the game, and especially over a lot of the other point tanks because there's just so many other tanks that are really, really good right now. I think tanks are probably the best like role in the game right now, at least with how many of them are actually good. I really do. And maybe even supports. There's a few supports that are dog shit, but supports are doing pretty well right now as well. There's a few that are really lacking, but at least the majority of them have some type of play and some type of viability. But that's kind of what I think of Nyx. Nothing with it to really change. I think I predicted her last tier list. I think I put her at like an A or an A+. So she got put into ranked, and that's pretty much where she is. She is around about an average. Maybe if people learn to play her more, I don't know, maybe you'll see her rise up a little bit more. But at least from what I've been seeing and what I've seen so far, she's kind of just really average, and you just don't really want to play her over a lot of the other off-tank options. You know, it's crazy. We are in 2023, y'all. I don't know how many tier lists I've had so far, to where I've actually just pretty much said Ray is one of the worst supports and probably the worst support in the entire game. How many tier lists in a row has Ray been probably the worst support out of the entire support category? She gets no buffs, she gets no changes, she does not get anything. Every single patch, Ray needs some major desperate buffs to actually make her good, and she just does not get anything. Still, one of the probably the worst support in the entire game is Ray. She doesn't do anything. She has no mobility. Her heals fall off way harsh late game. Her damage numbers are really, really low. The only reason you're going to be picking her is because of her ult, and that is just not enough. And they even nerfed her ult charge on her, like, her spirit link for, like, so much already, to the point where it's just not even worth picking her, even just for the free ult charge you give your team. Really, really bad. Even in a double support, like I would rather have any other support in my comp over in a double support comp as like the off support over a Ray, just because she's just that useless. Lex. Wow, even with ranked crossplay, who would have guessed Lex is still a must ban and a must pick in the majority of your games? Who would have guessed that one? I mean, I guess if you have a character that is legit a flank in the damage category, that pretty much can 1v1 pretty much anybody that's marked and win most of the time. I mean, I guess it's just that brain dead. He has auto aim, he has an ult that executes people. How are we still not nerfing Lex? How many tier lists in a row now, the same thing as Ray in the similar vein, how many times have I had a tier list over the past year where Lex has been like top tier, must pick or must ban? Every single fucking tier list and every single rank split. I don't know. And even with console, even this is even with crossplay. This is with the PC players and this is with the console players being combined in the same pool of ranked people. And Lex is still a must pick and a must ban in the majority of your games. I don't know. I don't know what to tell you guys. This goes to show you how much of a failure and how much of a clown posse and like a legit clown squad the balance team is. That they do not know how to actually balance Lex. I really don't know. I don't know why they even buffed him a couple patches ago. They gave him some quality of life buffs for some reason. Just goes to show you they probably don't even play their own game, and let alone they don't even know how to balance their own game at all. And I'm not even being paid. I am not even being paid to balance the game, and I balance the game with my eyes closed, and they're being paid to balance their own game, and they can't even do that correctly. I mean, I can't really expect much from incompetent devs that don't even know how to fix their own game either, I guess. So, I mean, I'm probably asking way too much. Hence why the game's getting discontinued on the Switch, because they're too stupid to fix the game. So, Moji F tier. Moji may be better than Cosme, but Cosme actually is not ranked right now. So by default, that still makes Moji the worst character in the entire game, at least for the ones that are in ranked. So if you want to throw your matches at any tier, pick Moji. I think the only time Moji will maybe work is in your lower bronze 4 and 5 games. Maybe if you're decent at her, you can farm, because those players are just legit bots at that point. Any other rank, you're not going to be picking Moji. You're better off picking any other DPS and any other flank in the entire game, and you will do better. And if you pick Moji in my ranked games, it is pretty much a 4v5, and I will report you because you were legit throwing my ranked game, and you're throwing anybody else's ranked game. If somebody picks Moji on your team and you're not in bronze, legit report them to get them banned, because they are legit throwing your ranked game. She is that bad. Get them people out of ranked, please. Help clean up ranked. Get rid of the Moji players. Willow's garbage. Willow got a small quality of life buff, I think, this patch, where she gets her ammo back when she ults. The problem with Willow, and I'll say it every single tier list, The problem with Willow is she is a DPS that her mobility is some of the worst DPS mobility in the entire game. She gets dove by everything, and her damage numbers compared to the majority of the other DPS in the game are really, really low. The only thing she has going for her is her dead zone. And even that right now is not even that good, because some of your best healers that are actually being played right now are not going to sit in one spot and heal in one spot the entire game. Stuff like Geno, stuff like Lilith, and like Cherish Furia and that type of stuff, they're going to be moving around and healing people that are moving, not just sitting in one spot where a dead zone is going to be thrown at, so that makes her even worse. And then you got other stuff that just die for really bad right now. Stuff like Eevee with crossplay ranks. Eevee just destroys her. Like, I don't know, a bunch of other shit as well. The flanks just eat her alive. Koga, Talus, Andro even. And he's not even nearly as good still. The tanks just die of her Khan. A lot of the off tanks, Atlas, even Nyx destroys her. Like, she's just not good. I wouldn't say she's bad as Ray or like Casimir or any of those, but like she's on the borderline of being like an F tier because she's just fucking garbage. Andro got his Defiant Fist buffed from 15 to 20%. This might actually be the first time ever, y'all, that I think I might actually put Andro in like an A tier. I think Andro right now, I think is probably the most balanced he's been, which isn't really saying much because he's been absolutely broken for like the last 2 years pretty much. He was a must pick and must ban every single game. But like ever since they got rid of, they reworked Cursed Revolver and brought back his older talent or whatever, Dark Stalker, whatever it was. Last patch he was pretty bad, but like right now I think he's actually balanced. He needed a little bit of a buff to Defiant Fist. I think he has 3 viable playstyles, just comes down to what you really want to play. I think the best one out of all of them is probably Defiant Fist, but you gotta actually like make a build and play around your Defiance, which a lot of people aren't really used to doing. I don't know. It just comes down to the player too. If you're a crazy like cracked Andro player, you can probably argue putting him S tier. But like if you're just like your average Andro player, you gotta kind of pick him into a team that can make him work, and you gotta really know what you're doing to make him work now, because otherwise there's a lot of other like flank options that are just a lot more consistent right now. They finally balanced Andro to actually be more skill dependent, y'all. Not just walk up to you or like be at like medium range and like 2-tap headshot you and kill you at like medium range as a flank, like he was doing for the last like 2 years. Wow, it's crazy. It took them 2 years to finally balance Andro to where he's actually in a manageable state. Awful balance, team. Ying. Ying is probably the worst support in the game apart from Ray. She doesn't do anything. If you play solo healer Ying in your ranked games, the similar thing to Moji, you are getting reported and hopefully you get your account banned. You are legit throwing the game and nobody wants you on their team. Her talents are garbage. Life Exchange still doesn't do nearly enough heals. Her base heals, I think, is the real problem. Her base heals just aren't nearly enough, especially when Cauterize gets fully scaled. Her healing just isn't enough. And even with Life Exchange, if you're constantly landing the burst heal, it's just still not enough. Her heals are just lacking, and the only thing she really has is she's pretty much an ult bot. The only time your team is actually getting heals is during an ult. And you can't ult the entire game to actually keep your team fully sustained, only for 8 seconds every like 2 minutes. So you can't rely on that to keep your team alive. I don't know. I mean, she's going to be getting a skin. She's rumored to be getting another skin this next patch after the Midnight Masquerade patch. So maybe they'll majorly buff Ying because they love her so much. They love to give her skins, but she continues to be one of the worst like champions in the entire game that only people really pick to just throw matches with. She is one of the most like common champions in the entire game that the trolls and the throwers like to pick just to throw people's games. Until they buff her, I can't put her any higher because she's really, really bad. Do not pick Ying. Don't pick Ying in your ranked games. Especially if you're a troll or a thrower and you're asking to get banned, please then play her. Play her as a solo support or even as like an off support as a DPS. You'll still get banned. Because I don't know about you guys, I've been reporting all the Yings that solo support and play damage in my ranked games. Sick of people throwing my games, I really am, and Ying is one of the characters that everybody plays to throw games. I don't know why the throwers and the trolls love her so much, but I guess that's just where she falls in right now. Ashe is average. Just your average off tank right now. Nothing with her has really changed since the last patch, even with crossplay ranks being added. Not going to talk about her very much. Imani got some major changes. I still don't think she's that good. I'm going to put her like a B tier. I think I had her like a C tier last patch. She's a little bit better than last patch, but not much. They reworked her stance swap, I think, down to like a 1 second instead of a 5 second ability. And then they reworked some of her loadout cards. They gave her like a reset or like healing on her stance swap. And then they gave her a loadout card where every time she swaps stances, like it gives you a reduced cooldown on your Frostfire Glide. So, and then I think they slightly buffed the damage on her ice stance by like 20, which isn't nearly enough. The problem with Imani is her talents are just really lacking. Mana Rift is one of the worst talents in the entire game. And then Splitting Ice and Pyromania just don't really make sense. Pyromania, you're losing damage just to charge like 0.2 seconds faster. So you're losing 200 damage for like a 0.2 or 0.3 like second faster charge time on your fireball, which is not worth at all. And have it to explode in an AoE, which most of the time does not get any value unless the team's grouped up, which is pretty rare, unless they're a bunch of brain-dead robots. And then the Splitting Ice just doesn't do enough damage. Her ice stance is just really lacking. She has a solid ult too, but like her ults, everybody knows how to play against her ult now, and if they see a dragon go up, they're just going to go dive on you, and they're going to dive on your lifeless body, and then you're going to get killed and sent right back to spawn, and you'll have no ult, so you got to be really careful on when you actually use your ult and if you can actually get value out of it, because especially with the PC players being put into ranked now, the majority, at least from what I've seen, the majority of the PC players at least somewhat know how to play against Dragon and her dragons, and at least go after it, or at least try to go like fight the dragon when it's going towards you. So, I don't know, kind of lacking. It's a real shame too, because Imani's one of my favorite champions in the entire game. And she's just kind of lacking. She's been lacking for I don't know how long already. I've said it every single patch. She's better than last patch, don't get me wrong. She's just a little bit better. She feels a little bit better to play with the buff she got, but it's still not nearly enough to make her crazy good. Salty. The one niche Salty has, I think out of all the DPS in the entire game, she is the one that is able to spam ults the fastest and the most reliably. Especially if you run like a loadout around your coin to where you get like I think like 5% ult charge or something. If you hit people and do damage to people with your coin, you're getting like 25% ult charge every single time you throw a coin up in your landing damage. So you can have legit like you can have wall bangs like every like 30 seconds if you're playing it correctly and you're just playing around your coin. She's the most spammable ult DPS in the entire game. That's the one thing she only has going for her right now. She has decent damage too, but she does get dove really, really easily. I don't know. Apart from that, I think she's really average. There was a point where she was really busted and she was really annoying, but I don't think she's like that anymore. I think she's just really average. Not a bad pick, but not a crazy good pick either. Kind of just there. If I would pick her, I would run like an all charge build around the coin because I think that is her best playstyle right now. With her I don't know what the talent name is, but whatever the one that you get bonus damage off your dropkick. I forgot what the name was. The rest of her talents are garbage. I think if they want to buff Salty, they either buff her talents or they rework some of her talents, because I think her talents are really bad. She has one viable talent and the rest are kind of lacking or just pretty much straight up bad. Atlas. I think Atlas is sometimes ban-worthy. I'm putting him in S tier, especially with the PC players being added into the ranked pool with the console players. At least with the majority of the PC players, I've seen a bunch of PC players playing Atlas, and they are crazy cracked, especially the ones I've been playing against. They are really good, so I'm going to put Atlas in S tier. Possible ban, and probably one of the best off-tanks in the game right now. Arguably even a ban sometimes, if you really don't want to play against him, because he's just that annoying. Nothing with him's really changed at all, but it's just the introduction of the PC players and the console players being added together. Furia got some changes. I think Furia is really good again. Furia was awful last patch. Furia was one of the worst supports, or like I wouldn't say one of the worst supports in the game, but Compared to where she was previously, she was really bad last patch. They made some changes to Cherish to where Cherish can actually keep tanks sustained. So if a tank goes into like Rejuvenate, you're able to give them like a 21 to 2500 burst heal most of the time now, even with Cherish, which is crazy good. They kind of reworked or made a quality of life change to Solar Blessing to where even if somebody walks through Solar Blessing, they get like the healing still like a couple seconds after they walk out of the beam. So you don't have to sit right in stationary in the beam anymore. You can kind of play around it a lot easier. I think she's a lot better. I think I wouldn't say she's ban-worthy or must-pick worthy, but she's probably still one of the best supports in the game right now. If you want a really consistent support with a great ult, great damage, and great heals, she does everything really, really well. Fury is something you're going to be looking at right now. Barrack, arguably a ban sometimes, actually. A lot of the one thing I'm noticing as well is like the PC players on console, like you would only really ban tanks as like a third ban, or if like a team didn't have a certain tank and then you didn't want them to have it. If they already had like a tank and they were looking for like a second one or didn't have a tank at all, then you would maybe ban a tank out on previously, at least with the console players. But with like the ranked people, the ranked crossplay and that type of thing now, the PC players ban tanks more than like all the other roles. And you're going to be seeing Barrack banned a lot more, especially by the PC players. If you're on console, maybe not so much, but if you're a PC player, you're probably banning Barrack just because you don't want to play against him. Nothing with him's really changed, but he is really, really good. Probably one of the best point tanks in the entire game. And he's probably ban-worthy if you don't want to play against him, because if you ban Barrack out, then that limits the enemy team's options quite a lot. There's only a number of tanks, like I think it's either Barrack, Fernando, or Inara that are really like the best point tanks right now, and if you ban one of them out and you take one of the other ones, they're really limited for options. So Bomb King, the first time I am going to put Bomb King above either a C or a B tier, because it is now a ranked crossplay tier list. So now I got to put Bomb King at an A+ tier. Bomb King's crazy, especially with if the PC players get him, and if it's a PC player playing. I'm playing on console, but like the PC people that I've seen playing Bomb King in my ranked games are cracked. He does way too much damage, and he's just fucking crazy. He really is. As I expected, because he was crazy on PC even before this. I just didn't put him higher because this was a console tier list before this, but now with crossplay being a thing, I gotta put him in an A+ tier. I wouldn't say he's ban-worthy, but like he's probably like the best like blaster like champion in the entire game, apart from a few others with the crossplay being introduced. If you're on console though, like I wouldn't really play him on console, it's mainly because PC is involved now, so I gotta put him there. If you're a console player and if you want to play Bomb King, you gotta be pretty good at him to make him work. I wouldn't really touch him unless you're on PC, but that's kind of where he is right now. I think there's a lot easier to play options on console, like Dredge or Drogos or even Petty. That's just me. Saris is pretty bad. I had Saris really high, and I've been realizing recently, like, Saris is just not good. The problem with Saris is I think she needs an entire rework. I really do. She should be able to actually heal and do damage and multicast at the same time. That is the major change Saris needs to be good. Because right now, and pretty much the entirety of what she's ever been in the game, I guess, is you're only able to do one thing at once. Either you're healing or you're doing damage. And when you're not doing the other thing, then you're lacking and your team is lacking on something. So either you're lacking on ult charge because you're not doing damage or trying to heal yourself or help your team in damage, or your team's dying because you're doing too much damage and you're not healing enough, so you're screwed either way most of the times. The only thing she has going for her is her ult is really spammable, and you can make some crazy plays off her ult. But apart from that, the only other thing she really has is survivability. She's pretty survivable and easy to play. But I would not play Saris right now over a lot of the other supports because she just gets out-healed and out-DPS'd and just diffed by a lot of the other supports in the game right now. She needs to have a rework to where she is able to multicast, being able to do damage and heal at the same time. And until that actually happens, I don't think she's ever going to be that good. which is a bad thing as well, because she was decent on console. Like, with just console players, I put her a little bit higher, and I always did. But with the PC players being involved now, I don't think she's as good. I really don't. And you're going to be seeing a lot of other, like, more diverse support picks being played as well with crossplay. So there's just better options too. Like, the supports right now, there's kind of a huge gap between, like, good and bad supports right now. I don't think there's really, like, much that are actually, like, in the middle, which is unfortunate. It's kind of bad. Hopefully they actually do that, because I think being able to multicast with Steris will make her so much better. Being able to just click the heal button whenever and just hold down the damage button the entire game, it would make her a lot better. And it's not really like it would be broken, because her damage numbers aren't crazy anyways. So I don't know. I mean, I'm asking so much for that as well, but, like, at the same time, these are the same devs that can't even fix the game for Switch. So I doubt they would even be able to rework Steris without breaking the entire game. So I don't know. I'm probably asking way too much. That's probably way out of their league. They're probably not qualified enough to actually do that. They don't know what they're doing. So it shall probably stay there for the rest of time. Genos. I'm going to put Genos right behind Lex. I think Genos is the most broken he has ever been. And I don't know how he did not get any reverts to some of his buffs that he got like 2 patches ago. They buffed, I think it was his mark duration, and I think they buffed his healing on his mark by, like, I don't know, it was a crazy amount of healing. And I think they buffed his cooldown. I think they decreased his cooldown slightly by like 1 or 2 seconds on his heal. Genos is the most brain-dead, easy-to-play support in the entire game. You can pick him on any map, you can pick him with any team, and he does his job. Usually on, like, an average 10 to 15 minute game, as long as you have somebody always marked, you're easily reaching like 150k heals in like a 10 to 15 minute game. Every single time. That is just how good he is. Not to mention, anything that has a mark makes it more significantly difficult for the enemy team to fight. I don't know how many times I lose 1v1s, or it is just so difficult for me to kill anything, because the person I'm trying to fight is constantly just getting pocketed by a Genos. And every time I'm fighting them, then they get like a huge burst heal, like a 300, 400 health burst heal, right when I'm about to kill him, and then I end up dying. It is the most annoying shit ever. He has some of the most, like, the best survivability out of any support in the entire game. If you get in danger, just run away. Run away with Stellar Wind, you just run away. You can play pretty much almost by spawn, or just play way far away from your team, and you never even have to even see your team half the time. If you do not have a tank or a flank that is constantly diving you and trying to kill you, you pretty much never die. That is the problem with Genos right now. I think he's either too survivable, they gotta decrease his survivability, or they gotta revert some of the buffs that they gave him like 2 patches ago. He is crazy. He is legit probably the most aggravating, like, most annoying support to go against in the entire game right now, just because he's just so brain dead. You mark somebody and you forget about him pretty much, and you can heal through walls, by the way, as well. If Genos is not picked, you pick him as a first pick, and if you don't want to play against him, you ban him as a first or a second pick. If he gets through, he's usually going to be getting picked within the first 3 picks of a team, and then you're forced to play against him the entire game. And you're probably going to end up getting out-healed, and then you'll get the solo player Ying on your team that just plays damage and throws your game. There you go. Or at least for me, that's how it works. The enemy team will get Genos, and then I'll get some random bum as like a 4th or final pick that'll pick Ying, and then play damage and throw my match. That's usually how it goes for me, but I don't know about you guys. Buck. With the PC players being involved, I think Buck's a little bit better, but I'm still not seeing him at all. I've seen one game where he was popping off, but I'm going to put him at B tier, which is kind of being generous, because on console, I don't think he's good at all, but with the PC, he's a little bit better on PC, so being crossplay, I got to put him a little bit higher. Catsbane got some pretty significant nerfs. I think if you're really good with him, you can still make him work. I just think there's way easier play options right now. And I would actually, if you want to play something really similar, I would just play Eevee. If you're a PC player right now, if you want to play Eevee, just play Eevee over Catsbane. I think Eevee is probably a lot better, especially if you know how to play him, or play her over Catsbane. If you're on console, if you're good with Catsbane, that'd be great. You don't really see too many Eevees on console, but If you're crazy with Eevee on console, you can still pop off. Cassie's great. Not a ban-worthy pick, but I think she's probably the best projectile in the entire game. And with crossplay, that doesn't change anything. That makes her even better, because the PC players like to play her. Not going to talk about it very much, because nothing with it has really changed. Sky. Sky's probably one of the champions I think has actually went down in value, actually. And I find it really difficult to actually do anything with Sky with the PC players being involved. I think she's a champion that would dominate and always just dominate on console. And now with crossplay, I think she's actually worse just because of the PC players. Like, I can't do shit. Like, I tried playing her multiple times already in ranks, especially with the PC players, and I just can't do shit most times. And unless I have a team that's there playing alongside me, it is really difficult to do stuff apart from that. I think she's a champion that was dominant on console, and now with the PC being involved with the console players, it made her significantly worse. So, she can still dominate your lower tier ranked games, but like, in your like average to higher tier games, you're not going to be seeing her play it at all. And if you do, everybody on the enemy team is just going to be buying Illuminate out of spawn and just destroying you the entire time. So, Corvus, B tier, really below average, just your below average support right now. I would not play Corvus at all over Genos. Genos does everything Corvus does, but a million times better. And he has a better ult than Corvus as well, because I didn't even mention his ult. His ult's crazy to make plays. And he either guarantee a kill or guaranteed damage. Like a huge amount of damage every single time with his ult. Corvus is just an ult you kind of throw down, you could just slow people and try to do damage, and most of the time nothing really happens. Kind of just below average right now. I don't know what they really need to do with Corvus to make him better. I think he's just kind of lacking. I don't know what they really need to do to buff him, but he's kind of just not too good. Dredge, A tier. Good on a specific amount of maps. Ice Mines, which I don't even know if I don't think Ice Mines is even in. Ice Mines might not even be in the map pool anymore, I'm not sure. Ice Mines, he's good on Jag Falls. He's decent on some of the other maps too, like Stone Keep, and even like Dawn Forge he's decent on. Especially if you know how to actually like set up your shortcuts, but I think he's a lot less good with crossplay rank because Bomb King is being played a lot more with the PC players being involved, so that I gotta put him kind of lower. But if you're a console player and you want to play an easy-to-play blaster, I'd probably either pick Dredge or Betty right now, out of both of them. Drogos, I'm going to put an A tier. Pretty team and map dependent. If you're going against a bunch of hit scan, would not play Drogos at all. And it depends on the map. He has some maps he's a lot better on, like Jag Falls, he's pretty good on. Stone Keep, he's pretty good on. Split Zone, he's decent on. Like, there's a few other maps that he's pretty good on, but it depends on what team you're going against and what team you have to make him work. Unless you're a cracked Drogos player, then by all means play him, because he can still carry games. Koga, I think, even with the PC players being involved, I think he's really, really good. I wouldn't say he's really ban-worthy, but I think he's still really top tier, like an A+ tier. I really do. I think he's really, really good. And especially with the main reason why is because Genos is really good. Genos and Koga makes him pretty much unkillable. And I think that's the main reason why I'm putting him at an A+ tier. If you can just get a Genos and pocket your Koga the entire game, like, it makes him pretty much unkillable. He can just do whatever he wants, he doesn't have to worry about anything. As long as he has a mark. I think until Genos gets nerfed, then you'll see Koga drop a little bit, but until then, I'm going to put him in an A+ tier. Eevee! I want to put Eevee higher, but I haven't really seen her play it that much. I'm going to put her in an A+ tier because I do think she has potential. She's a skill-based champ. If you're on PC and you play Eevee and you're cracked, you can carry your ranked games easily. Even more so now with the console players being involved that normally don't play against her. If you're a console player, I wouldn't touch Eevee unless you're cracked at her. But apart from that, I have to put her higher than I think I've ever put her. I think I've always had her at like a C or a B tier. And now I'm going to be putting her at like an A tier just because of the crossplay. I wouldn't say she's like the best flank because I don't see her played nearly enough. And the people that do play her are usually the only ones that are like one-trick Eevee mains or the ones that are really good at her. But she's way better than she was with crossplay. Con. I'd say Khan's probably the best off-tank in the game right now. Just with everything he does. He has pretty much a guaranteed ult that is guaranteed to kill or at least something on the enemy team every time as long as you grab somebody. He has crazy damage, which recently got buffed like a patch or two ago, and not reverted for some reason. So he does as much damage as some of the DPS champions do as a tank, which is fucking broken. He has a shield, and then he also has a way to heal people and heal himself. And 2 viable talents. I wouldn't really say Leon's shield is viable, but like as an off-tank, all the other ones are viable. Storm of Bullets is great, and then Commander's Grab is great, or whatever that other one is, where he gets the stun off his throw. Broken. If you're going to be banning an off-tank right now, I think you're going to be banning either Khan or Atlas, one of those two, and I'd probably say Khan most of the time. Just because Khan is way more easy to play than Atlas is. Most of the time, you're going to be seeing Khan picked more than Atlas. Fernando, you're going to be banning most of the time as well, which is because he's a point tank, and there's not many really like solid good point tanks in the game right now, apart from like a Nara, Barrack, and Fernando. Nothing with him's really changed, but apart from the introduction of crossplay, that's why he's S tier and ban worthy. You want a point tank on your team, and some of the other ones are probably going to be getting banned, so you're going to be prioritizing either Fernando, Barrack, and I probably might as well put a Nara up here as well. Or a Nara. You're going to be either seeing him banned or picked every single game. There you go. I'm not going to talk about him very much more. Grok is really bad. I wouldn't say he's bad as Ying is, but he just doesn't do anything. I think the only way you play him is like as a second support and a double support comp with Maelstrom and try to bounce shock pulse off projectiles or like that type of thing. And even then he's not that good. He just doesn't heal enough. And he just dies way too easily. It's his main problem right now. There was a point where Grok was really busted, and then they just slowly nerfed the shit out of him and made him irrelevant again because they don't know how to balance the game. Grover, I think, is A+. I think he's still really good. He has really good heals. He has a really good ult. He has really solid damage. He still does really, really well. Not going to talk about him very much because he's just your overall above average, really consistent, really good support right now. Same with Lilith. I'm going to put Lilith at an A+ tier. She did get some significant nerfs to where she was previously like last patch before she got nerfed. I think she was like ban worthy every single game, or like must ban most games. Now she's kind of not really like a must ban every game type thing, and there's a lot of other supports where you can argue picking some of the other supports over her after the nerfs, so. She still has really good heals. She has a really good ult. The only thing she's lacking is consistent damage. Her damage numbers are pretty low compared to some of the other supports. But she makes up for it with survivability and a really good heals and really good ult still. So I think I still have to put her in A+ tier. And she's really fun to play. So if you guys don't play Lilith, or if you want a new support to play, try out Lilith. Really, really cool. Tyra, A+ tier. Wow, who would have thought? Tyra is good on PC and on console, and with crossplay, she's still really, really good. Who would have thought? Nothing with her's changed at all. Like, I'm not going to talk about her very much.
30 seconds remaining.
Io, really, really good. Another support that has really good heals, really solid damage, and really good survivability, but the only thing she really lacks is a good ult. So unlike Lilith that has a good ult, Io has everything else that Lilith has, or wants, but she doesn't have an ult instead, so. Her support ult's really garbage. You're kind of just using it to either get as survivability to knock somebody away from you, or to try to kill somebody at low health or something. Most of the time, you kind of just throw it out and hopefully to get some value, and you don't really do much with it. Apart from that, though, I think she's really good. You can play her on every single map with almost every single team. Just everything you really want out of a support right now, and probably one of the most balanced supports in the game consistently every single patch, even without crossplay up until now. I don't think Io needs any changes apart from having her ult be made a little bit better, because her ult's pretty bad. Strix, map dependent. You're not going to be playing Strix unless it's Frog Isle or like maybe Split Zone or maybe Timber Mill, which I don't even think is... I think Timber Mill's not even in the ranked rotation right now, so that's one less map he's good on. Apart from that, he's still really bad. Same with Knessa. Knessa was really good, and then they just absolutely nerfed the fucking shit out of her, and she's never been good since. Gets dove way too easy unless you're on like one of her good maps. If you have somebody always diving you, whether it's an off tank or a flank that's actually good and actually can aim and actually knows what they're doing, then you just don't do anything. 7 got hit with some huge nerfs. I'm gonna put him at a B tier. I don't think he's that good anymore, y'all. There was a point where 7 was being must picked and must banned, especially on console, like a couple patches ago. They nerfed his range, they nerfed his damage, they finally nerfed the guy to where it actually mattered. And I'm not seeing him being picked or played nearly as much. And when he is played, he's a lot easier to deal with than he was previously. He can't just walk up to you or like melt you from across the map like he was doing, or like walk up to you and like kill you in 2 seconds. Leon A+ tier. Nothing with her's changed. Just overall a really consistent DPS. Mainly, she doesn't really have the raw damage number. She's a DPS that you're going to be using mainly for burst damage to kill people quickly. If you want like a raw damage numbers DPS, I wouldn't say Leon is what you really want then. You're going to be picking something else. You're going to be picking Leon for the burst damage to burst somebody down quickly. Mainly supports, DPS, or flanks, or like the more squishy type tanks that don't even have shields, or they have really no way to get out of line of sight or no type of mobility. That type of thing. Maeve, A+ tier, really good. I wouldn't say Maeve is broken. I think the only change Maeve needs to be balanced is Street Justice needs to be reworked. Apart from that, I would not touch Maeve at all right now. I think she's really, really balanced. And she's one of my favorite characters in the entire game. And she's really fun to play. So if you guys want a really fun, really good, solid flank to play right now, whether you're on console or PC, either one, pick up Maeve. Really, really solid right now. Really good ults, really good damage, has no fall off, incredible mobility, 2 viable talents with Cat Burglar or Rogue's Gambit. I guess if you want to play Street Justice and be a scumbag and steal everybody's kills, you can play that as well. I think that's the only thing she needs to have changed, is Street Justice needs to be reworked into something else, because it's just a brain dead talent. But apart from that, I'm not going to complain too much, because she is overall really balanced right now. Azan is... I want to put him in like an A tier, I really do, but I just don't see him do anything. I want to put him in like a B tier. Azan just got nerfed into the ground after he was broken when he got put into the game, and like he's never been the same since. I don't see him played nearly enough, and when he is played, he just doesn't do anything. Even after the small buffs he got recently with his ult and like some lockout time and whatever, it just didn't do anything for him. He has decent damage for an off-tank, and if you know how to play him, you can make him work, but there's just so many better options right now. Why would I play a Zon over a Khan, or, like, even some of the other tanks? Like, I don't understand why I would. Makoa, I'm going to put in an A tier, mainly because of crossplay. If this was, like, a console-only tier list, I'd probably put him lower, because I don't think he's that good. But on PC, there are a lot of better Makoa players, and it's a lot easier to play him, especially with the PC players, so... If you can land your hooks, you're constantly getting value. And if you want to play him as an off tank, and even sometimes as a point tank with half shell, it can work. But apart from that, if you want to make him work, though, you got to be landing the majority of your hooks. If you don't land your hooks, you're better off playing a lot of the other tanks. I'll put him at an A tier just because of the crossplay, because I think with crossplay, he's a little bit better by default, I guess. Damba, A tier. I would put Damba higher because of the crossplay, but I just don't see him played nearly enough. Even with crossplay ranked now, I don't see him played nearly enough for some reason. I don't know. He's such a cool support, and he's actually really, really good. Just don't see him played for some reason. I don't know why. Really, really sad. Probably one of the coolest champions in the entire game's history as well is Damba. One of the most unique, like, really cool champions I don't think any other game has had. You just don't see him played, I don't know. Maybe they need to give him some skins or give him some love and like skin cosmetic wise or something, but they're too busy giving Ying skins and giving Salty and all the other champions skins that don't need more skins. So probably the next time Damba gets any type of cosmetic, the game will probably be long dead. So Octavia. I don't think Octavia's bad. I'm gonna kind of a similar thing as Meldon, but I just don't see her played nearly enough. I think Octavia is really solid and like a really good DPS. I just don't see her played nearly enough. If you want a really good sleeper pick right now, like these are the 2 really good sleeper picks. I think Meldamba and Octavia with the crossplay ranked. I just don't see them played nearly enough, but they're not bad by any means. And the only real reason I'm putting them both at like A tier is just because of their play rate, and I just don't see him played. Pip. It's really sad. I'm gonna put Pip at a D tier. He just doesn't do anything. The problem with Pip is he just gets destroyed by everything. There's no reason why you would play him as a solo support or a support to keep your team fully sustained over any other support in the game. It's just way easier to play and does way more consistent heals. And then there's no reason to play him as like a hybrid flank or like hybrid DPS with like Catalyst, because there's just way better options to do that as well. So he's kind of stuck in this really like limbo to where there's really just no reason to pick him, because both the things he just does way worse than like 90% of the other options right now. And that's usually how he's been. I don't know, I just wish they would buff Pip to where he's actually viable. They've been giving him some small like mini buffs over the last couple patches, but those buffs have just done nothing for him at all. Justice for Pip, because he's probably one of the coolest characters in the entire game, and he just consistently never gets played, and you never see him get played, and he just gets shit on by the balance team every single patch because he just doesn't get any balance changes that actually matter for him, which is really unfortunate. It's really sad. Rom, I'm gonna put it like a B tier. I don't think he's that good, and with Khan and Atlas and all these other tanks who just shit all over him and just make his life miserable, and Genos that can just pull him out of the air and grab him mid-running when he's running around and trying to do his stuff, it makes it really difficult to play him. I would only play Rom if you have like a team built around him, or if he's good into the enemy team and they don't have like a Khan or an Atlas or something that just destroys you or makes your life really miserable with either crowd control or like heavy amounts of damage the entire game, which is really, really uncommon. Ruckus. I'm gonna put Ruckus at a B tier. I think he's good, I just don't see him being played nearly enough. And once I do see him played, he's either being played as like a solo tank, which you're asking to lose. Do not play Ruckus or Rom, even for that matter, as a solo tank. Play them only as an off tank. And when I do see him play, they just aren't really doing much right now. At least the ones I've seen up till this point. So I think he has potential. I do think he's good. I just don't see him played or being utilized good enough right now, at least from what I've seen. Sha Lin. Wow, y'all. 8. This is probably the highest I've ever put Sha Lin on a tier list. This is the highest I've ever put Sha Lin on a tier list, and the only reason I'm putting him this high on a tier list is because the PC players actually play him. And you're seeing him being played in your lobbies, in your ranked games, because of the ranked crossplay. And I've actually had some really good Sha Lins on my team, and all of them happen to be PC players. Kind of ironic how that is, because you don't see him on console at all. And the console players don't play him at all, and if they do, they're garbage. Really weird. And I think he's average, though. I wouldn't say he's anything crazy, but if you are a PC player, I wouldn't pick him up as console, but like if you're a PC player and you want like a solid DPS, pick up Sha Lin. The only thing Sha Lin needs is a new skin, because he hasn't had a skin in almost 5 years, so hopefully sometime down the line before the game dies, Sha Lin gets one last skin. Same with Makoa, because he really deserves it. He really does. Talus. S tier. Especially in your lower to mid tier ranked games, Talus just destroys. He really does. And I never thought I'd put Talus in an S tier, like a ban-worthy type spot for it with crossplay, but I have to. I don't know, I've gotten rolled by Talus so many times. Granted, the most of the times I've been getting rolled by a Talus is if they had like a support pocketing them, like a Genos or like a Furia or something that's just constantly pocketing them with heals the entire game. But even then, I think I still have to put him in S tier, because you just gotta ban him, especially in your lower to mid tier games. He just runs the game. And if you really want something on console, like if you're a console player and you want something that has a really huge advantage over some of the PC picks, like a Bomb King or like some of the other stuff PC players play, that you can be really good with, I think one of the crutches console players still have left is Talus, because you can play him on PC, but like the PC players don't really play him as well. So if you're a console player and you want something that's a crutch versus the PC sweats, then you still have Talus. So kind of is where he is right now. I'm not going to talk about him very much else. Nothing with him's really changed at all. Terminus, I'm going to put it like a B tier. I'd put him higher if it was only a console tier list. I'd put him higher, but with crossplay being introduced now, I'm going to put him at B tier. Probably the lowest I've put Terminus in a long time. I think the main problem is, as well, there's just so many other better options for tanks right now that you're just better off playing a lot of other things. Tiberius. Man, does Tiberius need buffs? I'm going to put him at a C tier. He's not good. He is a cooldown-based champion that lacks damage, apart from when he has one cooldown that is not on cooldown, which is Combat Trance. He has a really meh ult. It charges fast, but apart from that, he doesn't really do anything. He needs some really serious buffs. Buff his Combat Trance, buff some of his talents, rework some of his talents. I don't know what they would even do. There's a lot of options of what they can do to buff him. But Tiberius is just really lacking right now. And he just doesn't have the damage numbers to keep up with a lot of the other damage champions. You're basing your entire kit around a cooldown of Combat Trance, which is only like every 9-10 seconds or whatever it is. And apart from that, when you do not have Combat Trance, you just don't really do anything damage-wise. Your damage is really slow and really lacking, and you just can't have that right now. You gotta do damage, you gotta have consistent damage, and you're just gonna be getting outshadowed by a lot of other stuff. Betty La Bomba. I'm gonna put Betty La Bomba at an A tier, y'all. They fixed one of her major bugs with her ult, where she would get like her, like it was like a visual bug with her ult or something that she would like get stuck inside her ult, and her ult wouldn't be able to charge again or whatever it was. I wouldn't say she's really good because she still does get dove really easily, but I'd kind of put her in like the same vein as like a Dredge. Dredge is a little bit more like stationary. If you want like a little bit more of a mobility-based blaster, I'd pick Betty La Bomba. The main reason why I'm putting her at an A tier is because on some of her good maps and versus certain teams, she just shits damage. Her damage numbers are absolutely crazy. They really are. Same with, I mean, she's kind of the same as Dredge, but still. She has more mobility than Dredge, and she's a lot more annoying, especially versus on her good maps and versus like certain teams. With the amount of damage she's doing, it's crazy. Next we got Torvald. Torvald got nerfed. I still think he's really good, but I don't think he's nearly as good as he was. I'm going to put him in an A tier. Nothing with him's really changed. He got nerfed. He used to be really good like 1 or 2 patches ago. He got the shit nerfed out of him. Now he's kind of just there. I wouldn't say he's really bad. You can pick him as an off tank. Just don't play Torvald solo tank because you're just throwing. Pick him as an off tank and pocket somebody on your team, and then you'll be good to go still. Victor A+. I'm not going to talk about him very much. Vivian A tier. More of a situational pick versus some of the stealth characters. And she's also a little bit better now because you're seeing Sha Lin played a lot more. Which is actually something I never thought I'd say. Because, at least on console, Sha Lin's never played. But you're seeing Sha Lin played a lot more now, actually, with the crossplay ranks being introduced. So, being able to have the reveals counters like half of Sha Lin's kit with his withdraw and his ult. So, being able to throw out reveals to counter Sha Lin is also really good, like a counter pick. Same with like some of the other stealth champions, like maybe Seven, Sky, that type of thing. More of like a counter pick or like a situational counter pick than like an actual pick. But when you can pick her into like a counter matchup to counter some of the other stuff with like reveals and that type of thing, she is really good. Just don't play any talent apart from Booby Trap because she only has one viable talent right now. If they want to buff some of her stuff, buff some of her other talents apart from Booby Trap. Because other talents, Opportunity of Chaos is lacking, and her other shield talent is really lacking. It's not good. Vora A tier. Nothing crazy. If you're good playing her, you can play her and pick her up, and she can do really good. There's just nothing crazy about Vora right now at all. Just your average, middle of the pack type flank, nothing crazy. Nothing with her's really changed. Yaggorath B tier, and the reason why I'm putting her in B tier is because you have to have a team and a support that can actually keep you fully sustained. You got to pair a Furia with her, you got to pair like a Lilith or something that can just constantly keep her fully sustained the entire time. Or have a team built around her. She can play an off tank really well, but you have to have another like actual good point tank to make that work. But like as a point tank, you gotta have a team built around her. Otherwise, she just gets shit on. She eats too much damage, and she just doesn't do enough. She's pretty much a sitting stationary target that just doesn't really do anything. She's just pretty much an alt farm magnet most of the time. Which really sucks, because again, she kind of falls into the category of a champion that I don't think any other game really has. She's such a unique, really cool champion, at least play style, and like play-wise, and even like character-wise. I just wish they would buff her and actually make her good. Because she's always fallen into like the niche category. She's never really been that good. She was good on release, I guess a little bit on release, but after that they started nerfing her, and she's just never been the same. Xin, A tier, nothing crazy, kind of the same spot as Vora, kind of just your middle of the pack, just your average flank. Nothing with him really changed. Nothing crazy. And then you got Vatu, which got nerfed again. I don't know where I'd really even put Vatu. Since it's crossplay ranked, I guess I'd maybe put him into an A tier because he is cracked if you're playing him on PC. And being that it's crossplay lobbies, you are going to be seeing him a lot more. I haven't seen him really even played much. I think I've seen him maybe a couple times being played in my ranked games up until now. But apart from that, he did get nerfed again. Unless you're like a cracked Vatu player, I wouldn't really even be playing him. Kind of the same thing as like an Eevee, like Vatu and Eevee kind of beside each other right now. They're good. You can play them if you're like an average tier player, but like unless you're cracked, you're not going to be carrying games. You're going to want to be playing other stuff. Kind of where it is right now, I guess. But that is the entire list, y'all. That is the entire list. Probably my last, like, at least Paladin tier list, or the first tier list at least. First tier list for crossplay ranked, and then probably my last tier list I'll probably be doing for the game if I don't decide to play the game on PC after it gets discontinued on the Switch. So overall, I wouldn't say the game's too bad right now. Like, there's a lot of shit that really needs to be buffed. Like, they are really lacking in the buff department. Like, everything in, like, B tier and below. I wouldn't say Sky needs to be buffed because she's really annoying, but, like, all the other shit, there's some other stuff, like, I wouldn't say Sky or, like, 7 or Terminus, for example, would really need buffs. But, like, some of the other stuff that's, like, B tier, maybe B tier and below needs some major buffs. They really do. And it's kind of been that way for a while. Or some quality of life changes is something. And you have some stuff on top tier, like stuff like Lex, Genos, Khan, that type of thing, that you just never get changed, or should have got nerfed and they never did. Need some reverts, some buffs they recently got, or that type of thing, but let me know what you guys think in the comments down below. At least for right now, I think overall, like, my opinions on crossplay ranked, I'm not going to talk about this very much, but I thought I might include this anyways. I think crossplay ranked, at least so far from what I've played. Now, this is only like the first week of like playing crossplay ranked. I don't know if it'll get better or not, but at least for me, I think crossplay ranked has been an entire failure. The queue times are not faster. The queue times are the same as it was before, with just the console players being in the same ranked pool. I have not noticed any improvement in the queue times at all, and the matchmaking quality is not good at all. It is actually somehow even worse, so just to put it like simply, I'm not going to sit and go and break it down for you guys. If I really want to, if you guys really want to see that, I'll make an entire like video talking about why ranked crossplay has been a failure so far. If you guys really want to see that, let me know in the comments down below if you guys would like to see that. But overall, at least for me personally, I think ranked crossplay up until this point, at least for the first week and a half, has been a complete failure. It's just not. It's pretty much a thing put into place as a band-aid, because the devs are too lazy or too incompetent to actually fix the matchmaking and fix their game. So instead of actually fixing what the main problem is with ranked, which is mainly the throwers, the robots, the people going AFK and leaving the game, or like the matchmaking itself, because they don't want to ban people. They're scared to ban people because they'll lose money. So they don't want to ban the trolls or the throwers. They don't want to put anything into the game and fix ranked and give you lost forgiveness, or like some ranked stipulation where if you have a robot on your team and somebody leaves mid-match, that doesn't get counted as a loss, to make ranked actually more serious and fix matchmaking that way. They don't want to do any type of that quality of life stuff. So, and they don't want to actually fix the matchmaking, actually fix that to begin with. So they go and they put a band-aid on it and they just throw all the players into a one queue anyways. Regardless if you want to play with the PC players or play with the console players or not, they don't care. And up until now, the matchmaking and the queue times have not improved. And if anything, either the matchmaking is just as bad as it was, if not worse. Same with the queue times. The queue times are the same, if not worse. I don't know if that'll improve in the future. If it does, I'll let you guys know, but up until now, at least me personally, I think crossplay ranked has been a failure. I don't really care for playing against the PC players. It's good to see other stuff being played, like Shaolin and stuff being played once in a while, even like Eevee. But like, apart from that, there's nothing. There's no really upside having PC players and console players games, and vice versa, I'm assuming. So, I don't know. Let me know what you guys think of the ranked crossplay in the comments down below as well. If you guys would like an entire video breaking it down, if that would be something you guys are interested in seeing, let me know as well. Apart from that, hopefully you guys enjoyed. Like I said, this may be like the last tier list I do for the game because I'm a Switch player and the game's going to be getting discontinued on the Switch. So I don't know, at least as of for now, if I'll be continuing to play the game on PC with controller or whatever I'll be doing. But if this is the last list, hey, hopefully it went out with a bang. Hopefully it was a good list. So I don't know, maybe that's like I said, if you guys are interested in anything else I do over on this channel, especially even after Paladins gets discontinued, if I decide not to go on with the game, I do a bunch of other stuff over here: Apex Legends, Splatoon 3, Pokemon Scarlet and Violet, Omega Strikers, Overwatch 2, a bunch of other stuff. So if that interests you guys, feel free to subscribe. If you guys want to stay up to date with the channel, I would really appreciate it. It would really mean a lot to me and mean a lot to the channel. Apart from that, I'm going to get out of here.